Numbers don't lie, but the suits sure do. They printing that paper while you chasing what's due. Ledger got no borders, can't fake what's true. Digital escape hatch, I'm breaking through. Blindfolds tight, but my vision stay clear. System rig heavy, still I persevere. Centralized puppets, man, they pulling them strings. I'm out here stacking sets while they sell you false kings. Decentralized dreams, we breaking the seams. Freedom ain't free, but I'm chasing the means. Blockchain the truth, no shadow regimes. Decentralized dreams, yeah, decentralized dreams. Fiat's a leash and they got us on choke. Inflation's a virus, whole system's a joke. Gold got heavy so they turned it to smoke. Now I hold private keys, ain't no chains on my throat. Bank runs coming, man, the writing's on walls. Bailouts for the rich, crumbs for us all. But code don't lie, it's trustless and raw. They fear what they can't own, so they outlaw. 21 million, the people's decree. Math over muscle, that's financial decree. No middleman tax and my wallet stay free. Numbers don't lie, but the suits sure do. They printing that paper while you chasing what's due. Ledger got no borders, can't fake what's true. Digital escape hatch, I'm breaking through. Blindfolds tight, but my vision stay clear. System rigged heavy, still I persevere. Centralized puppets, man, they pulling them strings. I'm out here stacking sats while they sell you false kings. Decentralized dreams, we breaking the seams. Freedom ain't free, but I'm chasing the means. No shadow regimes. Decentralized dreams, yeah, decentralized dreams. Fiat's a leash and they got us on choke. Inflation's a virus, whole system's a joke. Gold got heavy so they turned into smoke. Now I hold private keys, ain't no chains on my throat. Bank runs coming, man, the writing's on walls. Bailouts for the rich, crumbs for us all. But code don't lie, it's trustless and raw. They fear what they can't own, so they outlaw. 21 million, the people's decree. Math over muscle, that's financial decree. No middleman tax and my wallet stay free. 21 million. 21 million. 21 million. Numbers don't lie, but the suits sure do. They printing that paper while you chasing what's due. Ledger got no borders, can't fake what's true. Digital escape hatch, I'm breaking through.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn our early hours in the morning into our edge in financial freedom. Today, I've got a few headlines. One of them I thought was a little bit funny. It's on Kevin Durant and being unable to get into his Coinbase account, which I've had problems with it before. You know, you got to go through a little bit of a process, but it's not as hard as he's making it seem. And it doesn't take years to get into your account. But I did think that's a nice little segment to talk about hardware wallets all over again. And to have a little bit of a laugh. But on the other side of things, we are hearing JPMorgan talk about some recession talk. We are seeing a little bit of a switch in the Fed's stance. We did have a dissenting vote. Last time we had a dissenting vote as well. It was a dissenting vote towards not having a rate cut and 2 board members voting to have a rate cut. This time it's the opposite way. We're seeing a dissent towards a bigger rate cut than we actually got. So we will dive into that one in just a second. But before we get to all of that, you know what I got pulled up in the background? It's that stock heat map. So let's dive on in, get you prepped for some success today. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a mixed bag on that price action from yesterday. We do have Apple sitting to the downside 0.46%, but seeing some upside this morning. Was as high as 0.8%. It is showing a little bit of sell-off right now in the pre-market, sitting up 0.64%. We've got Nvidia up 3.49% off of some massive news, investing $5 billion into Intel to make a new AI chip. We will follow that story as it progresses. We did talk about that one yesterday. We got Berkshire Hathaway down 0.37% and continuing to see some light sell-off this morning, down 0.08. We've got Amazon down 0.17 and seeing a little bit of buying pressure this morning, up 0.35. We've got Eli Lilly up 0.37 right now, continuing to see that buying pressure this morning, but looking a little bit neutral, up 0.02. ExxonMobil sitting to the downside 1.18, continuing to see some sell-off this morning, down 0.11. Tesla sitting to the downside quite heavily, down 2.12%. Seeing a little bit of green this morning though, up 1.17. PNG sitting to the downside 1.88%, but seeing some green buying pressure this morning, up 0.1. We've got Microsoft down 0.3 and seeing some buying pressure as well this morning, up 0.13. Google sitting to the upside off of its close, 0.99, continuing to see that buying pressure this morning, up 0.15, and Meta to wrap that on out, sitting up 0.58 and continuing to see the buying pressure this morning, up 0.34. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things, because over here we're also seeing a little bit of some mixed price action. We've got a little bit of red, a little bit of green here. AVAX doing quite nicely. We did talk about that one the other day, and it did get a little bit of continuation. So we might have to take a look at that chart. I believe it was a request as well. So if you got any alt requests you'd like me to take a look at, I was going to try to run this as close to Alex O Crypto Show as possible, and then give you some time to get on over there, say your hellos and all that. So a little bit of a longer show today, so we can take a look at some more assets. I see Sol being requested as well, so let me get that one on the list there. All right, let's scroll it on down, see what we're looking at for these bubbles. We've got Bitcoin down 0.5%. Ethereum down 0.1%. We've got XRP down 2.5%. BNB sitting with no change on that board. We've got Solana down 1.6%. Doge sitting down 2%. Cardano down 0.9%. Bronze sitting up 0.1%. We've got Chainlink up 0.1% as well. We've got Hyperliquid sitting down 2.9%. We did talk about that one the other day as well. A little bit of downside was to be expected after a massive move towards the upside. We've got Avalanche up 4.8%. Sui losing a few spots in the market cap, sitting at the downside of 3.4%. And Stellar Lumens taking a spot in that market cap while it sits down 1.3%, but took that spot from Bitcoin Cash, which is sitting down 5.1% right now. We've got HBAR down 1.9%. Litecoin doing a little bit of movement in that market cap as well, taking a spot from Leo token as it sits up 1.1%, and Leo token's down 0.4%. Let's hop over to those fear and greeds. We are looking a little bit greedy here on the stock side. Another point increase, not too unexpected, as we have been seeing a little bit of some money flowing on in. We'll talk about the Russell 2000 later. It did make some interesting moves yesterday, which I do think will end up affecting the crypto markets. more on the alt side, but we will get to that in a little bit. We do have crypto still looking quite neutral, sitting at 53, just a point increase as we haven't seen any drastic movements in either direction. We do have that liquidation heat map with liquidity to the top side here on the daily. Let me get that deleted there. Always trying to update some program or another, you know, can never just be satisfied with what it's got. You know, if the program's working fine, I don't want to update it. I'm kidding. I always update, but that's normally a weekend thing. We've got the liquidity sitting on the top side at 118,600 for that daily chart. Nice little area to come up and grab liquidity at. We do have that 3-day looking quite similar with a lot of liquidity on the top side. So if we do get a little bit of some movement with some strength here, it could be an upside move. That's coming in at 118, almost 700 for this 3-day, but it is a little bit of a broad range of liquidity towards the top side, starting at 118,300. We do have an area marked out on the chart right about that level, and we will get to that in just a second here. This 2-week also looking a little bit nice. If we can get some continuation of money flow coming on in, we've got some room towards the upside here. Not a whole lot of liquidity, but just some light liquidity, which is what you want to start to see as those higher term time frames kind of clear out a bunch of the liquidity like this 3-month has. It leaves you room to move towards the upside once you can reclaim some key levels, which we will get to in just a second. Looking for next week, we've got a very, very interesting Monday coming on out. We will tease on that just a little bit. Looks like I'm having some issues on the YouTube there. So yep, looks like it's just buffering a little bit. We will see if that gets fixed, but hopefully it's not a big issue there. Let me let them know in the chat there, and we will get back to it. All right, hopefully it catches on up for you, and we will dive into that data here in a second. I'm not sure what's going on. YouTube gives all the troubles. Is the stream frozen? They said, yeah. It looks like it is buffering on my, there we go. It took a little bit of a second. Sorry about that. I noticed it right before it happened. YouTube has been giving me a lot of troubles, so I don't know what's been going on with it, but I kind of paused it before we dived into all of that data. X streams are always fine, so if you don't follow me on X, you definitely should. We do a lot over there as well, but yeah, YouTube is now back. It was giving me troubles yesterday on my own channel. I don't know what they're doing, but they've been changing quite a bit on YouTube. So we do have an interesting Monday to really dive on into. We'll tease a little bit about why it's going to be interesting later when we get into one of those news articles. But here on Monday, we've got a lot of speeches that we will want to pay attention to. I know it's not flashy, it's not a heavy data drop that really gives you some information to move the markets on, but you do have an amazing lineup of Fed speeches. Fed Williams will be speaking Monday. Fed Musa-Liam will be speaking Monday. Fed Barkin, Fed Hammock. We'll also be getting the Bank of Canada speaking as well. A few speeches from them. They are in a very similar situation as we are, where inflation is increasing. They're having to hold off on rates. We're actively doing rate cuts, but again, Canada, the UK, several places in Europe are ahead of us in that rate cutting cycle. And they're seeing the same things that we're looking at now, increasing inflation and then seeing an acceleration on it. So we will kind of have to see if these rate cuts give us a little bit of an acceleration on those inflation pressures. That's going to be our interesting Monday to kind of keep your eye on. All of these Fed chairs really speaking about why they ended up cutting and why they're looking or not looking to cut at our next FOMC. All right, that's that teaser I wanted to do for Hickey in here. Good morning. Let's see who else we got. We got Donato Cabrera in here. Good morning to you. Ada Ace in the chat. Good morning to you, Ada Ace. If you're not following him, you definitely should be. I don't have that link readily available, but definitely should be following Ada Ace over here on YouTube. He does a lot over on X as well. Looks like my stream's having some issues again. We got Jay in the chats this morning. Good morning, good morning. Let's see. Paul Hindenburg in here. Good morning to you. Let's see who else. We got K Diggity in the chats. Good morning, good morning. John Foster Crypto asking for Soul. Got that one on the list. Let's scroll it on down. Buck in the chat. Good morning, sir. Hope you're having a great morning. He said, praying for the AOL to work. Yeah, that, I don't know what's going on. We've got, a few issues with YouTube. It kept, kicking, TradeFly off yesterday when I had him on. Yeah, I'm seeing it froze all over again, but on my side, it says that it's streaming, so I don't know what's been going on with YouTube. Hopefully they get their poop in a group and we can get back to everything as the way it was, because I've never had as many troubles streaming on YouTube as I had recently. So let's take a look at this Bitcoin chart here on the daily. We are seeing a little bit of some topping signals. We came up directly to an area we had talked about yesterday. That was 118,200. That was that point of control for this upper range here. We did see a little bit of resistance on that area, and we are now breaking into our old CME gap. So definitely looking to see if we can hold an area that we had talked about yesterday as some support here. Let's get this zoomed on in a little bit. That's going to be 116,200 here. That was a nice little area where we saw a few touches on when we were seeing the sideways consolidation above the midline of the CME gap. But we are getting a peak seeker here on our prime oscillator. We are seeing money flow trying to push into the green here. So watch that money flow on that shorter term time frame. Once we get down to that 116,200 area, see if we can get that nice pushback towards the upside. We're seeing a little bit of some topping signals here on the prime oscillator and the MACD as well, with that curvature coming on in. Money flow staying in the red. Volume's looking a little bit nice here. So if we can get that volume holding steady and that buying pressure on the shorter time frame, it could really end up bleeding over into this higher term time frame as we get to that 116,200 level. If we don't hold that, we've got a few areas of interest below us. Taking a look at this 4 hour, you're seeing that toppiness really continue, but that money flow's looking nice and solid. You can see this green buying pressure holding price up here in our current range. We are waiting to see if we can cool down these oscillators with some nice sideways momentum below the point of control and around that midline of our CME gap. That midline coming in at 115,100 there. So waiting to see if we can really get some bouncing action. It just dropped too completely. I don't know what's going on with the YouTube, but might have to come on over to the X. We've got 9 viewers over there. Let's see. Let me get that link shared on out. I know everyone enjoys the YouTube. Oh, looks like it picked back up, but let me there. Picked back up on the YouTube, but let me get my X shared on out there so you can see it in case it does continue to give some problems. Here's my X for y'all. I am streaming over there as well, so if the stream continues to have some troubles, you can always join us over there. We do have this looking a little bit bottomy here on the 1 hour. So that's where I was looking for a little bit of some bouncing action around that 116,200. That's where we got a bunch of resistance from, and that's where we liquidity swept above. So looking to see if we can hold that there. If we don't hold it, like I was talking about, coming all the way back down to the midline would be an interesting level to watch. But we are seeing that money flow in red here on that 1 hour, but seeing some bottoming signals start to flash. That doesn't mean we don't have some continuation to the downside. It just might mean that once we get to a key area, we might see a little bit of some bouncing before we continue on towards the downside there. Let's take a look at a 15-minute, see what the rest of the morning might be bringing our way here. And this is where we're seeing some bottoming signals as well. But the big barrier to really get above is going to be all of this selling pressure after we really lost that point of control. You can see a lot of red money flow here, and that volume's increasing as we're seeing that increase of money flow. So the increase of volume has all been selling pressure as we came up to that point of control for the range. Make sure to watch that short-term time frame money flow as we start to get to some of these key levels. See if you can get a little bit of some bouncing action. That'll give you a little bit of some chances to take a stab at a long, or find yourself back up at that resistance and then catch the rest of the move towards the downside there. I am favoring a little bit of some downside as we were unable to get to that point of control, but we'll really have to watch if we slide all the way back down towards the bottom of our CME gap here at that 113,600 as an area of some interest if we don't hold the top side of that range there. All right, let's hop over to some of those news articles for today. We did have a few things we wanted to talk about. Potentially, we have the opportunity to take a trade as a community as well. So if you got any assets specifically for a trade for us to take, go ahead, drop those in the chat now. Same with you over on X. If you have some assets you'd like me to take a trade on, we try to stick to those top 20 assets in the crypto space, or because BTCC has tokenized stocks, we could take a trade on a stock. So if you do have any assets in mind for us to take a trade on, go ahead, throw those in the chat now. We'll get that poll started on up if we want to go long or if we want to go short. So we will see off of that if it's long or short, and then accordingly we will choose an asset. So this is this first news article I really wanted to dive on into here. We got JPMorgan talking about a recession risk after we're seeing that federal interest rate decision. That was the message the newest Federal Reserve Board governor shared at his Federal Open Market Committee meeting this week. Less than 48 hours before the historic September 17th meeting, Stephen Moran was sworn into the role, which was roiled by partisan politics, a slumping labor market, and sticky tariff inflation. Moran's dissent from the other 11 members of the policy-making FOMC who voted for a 0.25 percentage cut to the benchmark federal funds rate, which was set the tone for federal short-term borrowing. Scroll on down here, let's get over to it. Moran voted for a 0.5 point cut, keeping in line with President Donald Trump's demand for a cut of 3 percentage points. Trump remains Moran's boss as the economists declined to resign from the Council of Economic Advisors when he took the temporary role as the Board of Governors for a term that ends on January 31st. I won't dive too much heavier into that, but this does lead me to have some concern. When you're still a member of the federal government, you didn't resign your position, so Donald Trump is technically still your boss there. You're supposed to have a Fed that is completely separate from your federal government. The federal government isn't supposed to have sway over this entity. It is technically co-adjacent to your federal government, but you're not supposed to be able to control the monetary policy as the head of the government. And this opens the door to massive problems. If every president can kind of sway the Fed on their monetary policy, then you fail to really be able to handle things going forward. So we are seeing those inflation pressures really bring some concern to not just me. You've had Piper talk about it. You've got now JPMorgan talking about it. You've had Bank of America talking about it. We covered that story a few weeks ago. There's a lot of concern here. They were walking a very, very fine line, and to try to push the job numbers to the upside here might not have been the best decision with a rate cut when you're seeing inflation be as sticky as it is, not just here in America, but across the world. So we'll watch this story as it progresses, see if he continues to dissent, see if there continues to be worry. But I will continue to be worried, as this isn't the direction you want to see your Federal Reserve go when it's supposed to be a separate entity that is making sure that the checks that Congress cashes doesn't break the economy. So for me, I believe the Fed has done a decent job at making sure that the economy doesn't absolutely crap the bed when they're cashing the checks that someone else has written. So I've been a little bit hesitant, and they've been a little bit reactive, and that's kind of the way you want things. You don't want cuts before it needs to and then leads to bigger problems. You'd rather address the problem when it kind of really starts to show that it is a problem there. All right, we did have this story as well. I thought this one was extremely funny here. Kevin Durant can't unlock his Coinbase account. His agent is thrilled. Of course he is. They started investing back in 2016, back when, Bitcoin was about $500 to $1,000, and we're sitting at an 11,000% increase there. But I wanted to scroll down to this down here. Durant has been unable to access his Coinbase account for a few years due to user error on our end, Kleiman told CNBC on Wednesday. We've already been working directly with the Coinbase team on Kevin's account recovery, which is why it was easy for me to make a joke about it on stage. Kleiman said that he and Durant are also investors in Coinbase Global, and that the company has been a valuable resource in growing our business. In 2021, the duo's 35 Ventures struck a multi-year deal with Coinbase to promote the trading platform, which includes creating content about digital assets for Durant's sports and entertainment website, Boardroom. Coinbase, in the statement to CNBC, said its users can reset their passwords using self-service tools within the trading app. The platform is buying, selling, and storing cryptocurrencies, also has an around-the-clock support team, fielding account recovery requests, and other inquiries, according to the spokesman. So I just thought this was pretty funny. They tried to make a big joke about it, and it's really not that hard to recover your Coinbase account. I've had to do it twice now. Not the biggest fan of using Coinbase. I do use it to buy things. I do not use it to store things. And this pretty much tells you the reason why. Because if at any point here he decided to sell around here, you saw that secondary peak and then you start coming on down, well, it limits your ability to really sell anything. Whereas if I store it on my cold wallet, I can pretty much send it to any place. I can send it to a DeFi exchange. I can send it to crypto.com. I could send it to Kraken, Bybit, literally anywhere I want to send it. I'm not limited to being able to access my account. I can just do it all within my hardware wallet. So a little bit of a push for hardware wallet, and a little bit of a funny story there. He is sitting on massive profits because he just couldn't get into his account. I'm not saying that anyone might not have some smarticle particles, but I'm definitely inferring it there. All right, we had a few alt requests to really dive on into. Let's see what we got going on the chat before we get to that. Thank you, Alexander G, for dropping my YouTube channel there. We got A to Ace channel as well in the chat. If you haven't checked him out, or his ex, you definitely need to. He's got a lot going on over there. He has a lot of fun too. So Let's see who else we got or what else we got here. Looks like everything's fine on the YouTube now. So it looks like they finally got their stuff together. Let's see. Anything else there? Any assets to take a look at? All right. We are looking like 70% long here. So let's see what we want to take a look at for a trade. Let's see. We've got a few assets in that top 20. That was AVAX and AVAX and Sol. We can also take a look at Bitcoin as well for a trade, and anything else we might want to take a trade on. Go ahead, let me know on that. So Bitcoin, we will take a look at Solana and AVAX, and then we'll decide if we want to take a trade on one of those assets there. Y'all are absolute degens in the chat. I won't even say what you're talking about. I'm not trying to get in trouble. Let's see. Oh